Hello, Dr. Sundstrom. It's Creighton Goodman. This week we have our first journal assignment, which involves Chapter 2 of Collaborative Governance. We're going to focus on two areas that involve collaboration. Donahue and Zeckhauser tell us that there are many reasons to pursue collaboration. However, most of them are embodied in one of two things. First, in the search for better outcomes, or second, in the search for more resources. Let's start with better outcomes. In government, the public sector engages the private sector to collaborate when it has the hope and expectation that together they can achieve more than if they were to attempt an activity by themselves. We have an example of this in the book. It tells us of Central Park in the 1970s and 1980s was managed by the public sector. Unfortunately, it deteriorated and it became a place for homeless, and there was a lot of drug use in the park. After the 80s, though, the private sector got involved with the cleanup and maintaining of the park, and eventually the private sector was given full management control of the park, and it's turned into what it is today, a beautiful place that fortunately I was able to take our family to this past summer. We love New York and we love America. In aviation, the field that I currently work in, there are many collaborative efforts. Upon reading this chapter, I immediately thought of the relationship between airfield management, dispatch, and the flight crew and their collaborative efforts on a daily basis. For example, at Riverside Airport, you can see here's a truck here at Riverside Airport on the left picture, and that's airfield management. They go out each day and they do a airfield drive where they'll look for anything wrong with the field, any construction going on, any bird hazards, taxiway closures, etc. They'll get that information and send it to the dispatch, or send it to dispatchers. Dispatchers will work for private companies. They'll gather these notices to airmen, or NOTAMs, that the airfield management produces. They'll gather the NOTAMs and then provide those key pieces of information to flight crew. Flight crew will look at that material that the dispatchers gave them, which originated from airfield management, and then consider whether or not to fly that day. They'll do a cost-benefit analysis about or regarding risk management, and hopefully put a quantitative value to those risks to come up with an accurate decision-making matrix on whether or not that's a good day to fly. As mentioned earlier, there are many reasons to pursue collaboration, but most of them stem from the desire for better outcomes and more resources. Donahue and Zeckhauser tell us that, quote, well-structured collaborations can induce private players to contribute willingly to a shared endeavor, benefiting themselves and the public at large. In other words, at Central Park, the private community was willing to contribute their own resources to make the park more usable. This benefited the public at large, but also made their neighborhoods safer, which in turn increased the value of those private people's real estate in the area. In the end, the private collaborators in New York City and the public sector were able to yield more resources to better serve the community and the public. And here's a picture of Central Park and that beautiful Great Lawn. The Transportation Security Administration in 2001 through present day is another example of resources and using or reasons for pursuing collaboration. And in this example, it's a potential. So in 2001, the federal government, they increased their spending on aviation security as a result of September 11th. They're in charge of security screening at hundreds and hundreds of airports, more than 450, in fact, and they have upwards of 62,000 employees with a $1 billion budget. Well, most of the airports in Europe and Canada use private companies for their passenger and baggage screening. That practice of using the private sector many believe has led to more efficient and innovative security measures. And equally, if not more important, it's allowed their governments to focus more attention on gathering intelligence and trying to mitigate those security issues rather than managing such a large workforce. But that's it for this week. Those two areas, again, to get better outcomes and to generate or make more resources available are just a couple main reasons on why to pursue collaboration.